All right, we're live into the Facebook group. Everyone, welcome back. We've got Brett back, and he's safe somehow. He's always getting into some type of trouble and facing death.
Plane wreck, tornado. Who knows what else I'm going to be in next.
I don't even want to know what's next, Brett. Just fucking be safe, okay? That's it. Just be safe. And today we've got Kory and Zia. They work together. And we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence with Chime and follow-up processes, a little bit of systems, and just overall having fun when it comes to Chime, because these two guys, when they come in, we always geek out a little bit. Very similar to with Adam, and when we bring in Brian, it's all similar to that. So guys, welcome back. And Zia, you're far away from home today, man. Almost like Spider-Man.
Yeah,
far away from
traveling distances.
Nice. You drove 4 hours for a deal. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, it's a good friend of mine. I sold him the place up here, and then he wanted to resell it. So I referred him out, and it didn't work out. So I ended up listing it for him. And now he's buying a house today. We sold that place, and he's buying a house today. So here I am.
Nice, man. I like that. Well, congrats. Good job on getting it done. Kory, how long have you known Zia for? You guys are longtime buddies, or?
I think we've known each other for just over 2 years, two and a half, something like that.
All right, yeah. Perfect. And where did you guys meet? How did he jump on the team? Tell me about that.
So what happened is I was doing like a referral network for a pretty long period of time. And one of the agents that was an agent that I referred business to and leads to was a friend of Zia's. And at some point he was like, hey, Zia, you should get in touch with this Kory guy. Maybe you'd be a good fit to work together. So I started giving him leads to this referral agent. And then like maybe 2 years ago or whatever the time frame was, we just were talking more frequently, and we realized we gelled really well. And then as time went on, we realized we gelled even better. So we just became, business partners straight up. We just decided to join forces and just actually build it around his skills and my skills. And we tend to have opposing skills, but they're complementary. So that's where we are, right?
And you guys are operating as still countrywide, right? Countrywide real estate.
Yeah.
That's awesome, guys.
So cool.
I love it. All right, well, let's get into how you two work together in regards to lead generation and how you transfer over business when it goes through the system, how Zia gets it, and how the AI functions as a whole. Just to recap, Kory, where do you guys get most of your online business from? Is it Facebook? Is it Google? Is it something else?
Predominantly, there's almost 63,000 leads in the system, and about 55,000 are probably from Google pay-per-click. So predominantly.
So Kory is a wizard with Google pay-per-click. Always has been. I remember back in the days, like way back when I first met Kory, he's like, man, you got to get on this PPC thing. And I'm like, dude, I don't have the time to dedicate. Kory, I took like a whole dive on PPC, and like you like studied it inside and out to a level that like most normal human beings would just be blown away. Like you were telling me one time about all that you do with PPC, and it just knocked me basically off the little podium that I was on. I was like, holy crap, just bow to Kory. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that, because as the leads come through, do you have the AI pick up all of the incoming leads for Google, or do you send them to an agent first? Tell me the process.
Really good question. So I've been working online leads for almost 12 years. So the entire time I've been licensed. Dang. So I started really early learning how to get online leads, because I knew my phone probably just wasn't going to ring when I all of a sudden got licensed. So I've optimized, and I've been testing this for a really long time.
Okay.
So basically what our workflow is, the lead comes in through Google, goes into Chime, the AI picks it up and starts its process of qualification. If it engages with them, then it will create a saved property alert, do some sort of tags within Chime to then notify us if we need to do something or not. And in Chime, when you use the AI, they actually create a group called Responded versus not responded. So that's just something that Chime does when you start using the AI assistant to do SMS like qualification. So if you go into the responded one, if you don't have a ton of lead flow, there's going to be, a number of responded you can go through one at a time. But I think we're approaching like 700 or 800 people have responded to the AI.
Whoa.
So yeah, so the way that I make sure that none of those people slip between the cracks is I click the not contacted filter in Chime, and then I look at all of the ones that are in there that have said responded, but we haven't touched directly. Because often what will happen is the AI will reach out and the person will say, yeah, I'm just browsing. I'm just, casually looking. And that will trigger a smart plan that's going to go out for us, that's going to nurture them long-term for about 2 to 3 years. But it makes sense to read every time that they've responded, to read the actual text in conversation, because sometimes the AI doesn't quite pick something up correctly or doesn't code it correctly. For instance, they might think the intention is to not sell when the intention is to sell. And I see that occasionally. And if I didn't look at that particular lead and just kept it on a drip, I wouldn't know that, holy crap, this guy's got a $2 million house to sell in North Vancouver. I should call him, right? So that's a little pro tip to do that. But yeah, basically the automation does the majority of the top of funnel stuff, where people are basically just kicking tires, trying to decide what they want to do. And then as time goes on and they get closer to really transacting or getting really big buying signals, that's when I start to pick up the phone and talk to them. And then I essentially just set up an appointment for Zia to do either an exploratory tour or a listing appointment. He's put in as the assistant role in Chime. I'm the assigned agent, so all of the stuff still comes from me. And then I nurture them as an ISA behind the scenes, so he can be focused on production, which is what he's truly doing. Right. Yeah.
Kory, you just touched on something that I think so few people understand. Repeat that last part. You act as your own ISA. So you're the one doing the generating of the leads, and then you're actually being the ISA in the background. You're not outsourcing.
I'm not even in production at all. I haven't written a deal in 4 years. I haven't written a contract in like 4 years. And the reason that you, in my opinion, for online leads, that you need an ISA or some people that are very accountable, is that agents are really great at dealing with extremely warm and hot leads, because that's where the money is, and that's where like the face-to-face conversations need to happen. So if they get really busy with 15 or 20 people in the pipeline that are really actively looking at properties, it's not really that reasonable to expect them to call somebody that hasn't been on your website in 3 years. They're not going to do it. And if they do it, they're going to do it until they get busy, and then they're going to stop doing it. So by me having the ultimate control over exactly how everything's nurturing, I get the standardization and the higher conversion. That's really the key.
All right. So Zia, at what point do you come in? Do you stay in contact with the lead from the very beginning, or do you get brought in at some point?
Yeah, generally we all get brought in from the leads that Kory will give me when they're pretty hot. Like, okay, he's provided value. These people are, pretty much very comfortable. So it makes it a lot lower funnel people that I'm talking to. Now, at the same time, like, we still do our connections. So every day our goal is to do 10 connections. So what I'll do is when anything comes through, that'll email me, because as an assistant on it, if somebody still views 3 properties or does anything like that, my goal is still to make 10 connections a day. Even though Kory's the ISA and he is looking after a lot of stuff, at the end of the day, there's still 62,000 leads and there's 2 of us. Yeah. So that's something we actively do, is we just look at any triggers that come up that are like buying signal triggers. Like, I'll look at lead score, I'll look at just things that they've done, mortgage calculator, those style of things that will kick back to us, and then I'll just quickly touch them by either calling or texting. But the leads that Kory will give over are generally, like, we're probably working with over 40 leads, and like, we're every day you're just getting more leads that are going to close in the next 60 and 90 days.
Zia, how do you keep track of making sure that you're contacting the hotter leads, and how many leads actually remain in your personal database that you take care of? Because I find that the challenge for agents across teams.
Yeah, so right now what we do is Kory is the agent, so he will get the majority of the contact through. However, when I work with somebody, the second that we're texting back and forth, like we'll always put notes in, we'll tag each other in them, so we each know exactly what's going on with the client. And there's a lot of times it'll just like put a note in for Kory saying, hey, this guy's not exactly ready to go, but we need to follow up with him for the next 60 days and we'll see if we can get his place listed or anything like that. And we get a ton of opportunities out of it for sure. I mean, just like even yesterday, we woke up to a message saying we want to write an offer on a place. And, we went through all the steps with them. Just, that's just where I'm coming in a lot of the times. They've been nurtured and they're ready to go.
How do you spend most of your day? Like, what does your day look like when it comes to real estate?
So we use Google Calendar, and my day, so every day, 9 to 11, I'm doing calling. I block off and I'm doing my 10 connections. And then like I won't take, for the most part, I won't take any appointments from those times, from 9 to 11. And then the rest of the time will be setting appointments, touching base with people, sending emails, like those things. But a lot of my day right now is a lot of showing appointments and a lot of listing appointments.
How do you balance both, Zia? Because I've got an agent right now who, and look, we're always growing, we're always struggling, like in both. He's been with me for like 13 years, and he's got, just him alone, he's got 7 under contract, but they're big, right? So we got massive properties over here, and he's having a struggle with balancing continuing to prospect, right? And then making sure that he's taking care of his clients and making sure that he's showing property to those ones that want to see, right? How do you maintain that balance?
So for me, a big thing obviously is your schedule, number one. So I will always, like I say, I will always block that time off. And that's one thing that a really big thing that I picked up from Brett from day one was blocking that time out, like in the morning, to get the emails, the calls, the stuff that's really pressing out of the way. But a big thing is to get those connections in. And then for the rest of the day, right now, to tell you the truth, we're really just going, every day is a little bit different, but we're just scheduled out. Like we are adding people to the team because there's more showings than I have time. So.
All right, that makes sense. Brett?
I think the number one killer of businesses is, do you have a second or do you have 5 minutes? I think that's the number one killer for businesses. And if you as a business owner or a team lead or anything like that, if you get sucked into the, do you have 5 minutes? Do you have a second? Put those on schedules. Make sure you have that blocked in so people can come talk to you. But the whole, do you have 5 minutes, man, that kills productivity.
That's so true. Kory, how do you maintain? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kory.
Yeah, I agree. I'd say that one of the most important things that I ever discovered earlier in my career was time blocking that prospecting time and just time blocking your calendar in general. Because we all have a ton of things coming at us, and there's a ton of opportunities and phone calls and texts and all that. And if you're trying to do 3 things at once, you're going to do them relatively poorly. But when it comes to like prospecting, like I turn off my cell phone or I put it on airplane mode, and literally for 2 or 3 or 4 hours, whatever it is, I just militantly go through the leads and the scripting, go, 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 go. And then I come above. And then once I finish that, that's done, check, I hit the goal, and then I go do something else. And by like doing that one thing at a time to completion, you actually make progress. I think you're a lot more efficient like that. I think it's good to, I think people feel busy when they're staring at a computer for 10 hours and running from thing to thing, but having 20 tabs open and focusing on all of them, all that does for me is that when I come across a roadblock that's challenging, I do go to something else. And that doesn't work. You need to finish that thing. When it gets hard, you need to push through until you get it done, whether it's prospecting goal, whether it's a deal you're negotiating, whatever it is, you need to get it to completion and then move on to the next thing, not move on because it gets hard, right? That's from my perspective.
So one of the things that people don't understand about me, I have severe ADHD, like severe ADHD. And so one of the things about that is, so when I love when people go, well, I don't have time to do that. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? My brain's going 7,000 miles a minute. I don't have time to do anything. But what I do, what helps me every single day, what you should do to at least get started, every day, write down 10 tasks that you need to get done that day, or the number of tasks that you feel you need to get done that day to feel like you've accomplished your day. Then go through and do that for the week and do that for the month. And then come in every day and go, okay, what do I have that I have to get done this month? What do I have to do that I have to get done this week? What can I add to my plate today? Get through that list, call it a win, and then move on for the next day. I see so many people that try to do so many things and they just stuff their calendar full, and then they get nothing done because they're so overwhelmed with what they have on their calendar. So break it down into easily digestible pieces. That's what does it for me, and that's what works well. And then Jace, I think, had a question about, do you pre-qualify your leads before you go out and show them? So I'm going to take that one real fast. I've never pre-qualified a lead in my life. I go out and I will show any house to anyone, because then I have quite literally unrestricted access to ask them any question that I could ever want to ask them about their real estate search, their house, anything like that. So I have them at the house. They have to listen to me. What do you guys do?
How about you guys?
We do a combination. If it makes sense and the timing of seeing a particular property, or if there's not a particular property they want to see, but I've got some good rapport with them and I'm a trusted resource, I'm definitely going to try to pair them up with a lender to see if we can get them pre-approved first. If it's a specific property they're reaching out and they want to see it tomorrow, I will pre-qualify them as much as I can through scripting, finding out if they have a home to sell, who's the decision maker, all these key factors. And then I frame it as an exploratory tour. So I go, well, you're going to meet with Zia. You're going to look at this property. We might pick out a couple others based on this that might fit as well. And it's just no pressure. You're going to get to know him. He's going to get to know you. We're going to see where this goes. And don't worry, you don't have to buy any of these properties. And then oftentimes they'll be like, well, can we? It's like, yeah, you can if you want to. But if you take the pressure away that we're going to force you to buy it, all of a sudden they know that you don't have commission breath. And all of a sudden there's room for a relationship there. I think it's a smart way to do it personally.
Agreed. Yeah. That's a really tactful way of doing that.
Yeah, we do the same thing, Kory. We try to pre-qual them verbally, see where they're at, right? See if they're comfortable, right? And then way later, we then get them pre-approved with a lender, because they can get every information or piece of information they want from online. So why do you think they're going to get pre-qualified with you before they go and see a home? It's absurd. That's why we lose a lot of the opportunities with Google PPC, right? That is not the way you treat them. So what a great question, Jace. All right. Thanks for the response. Just making sure I'm not wasting time showing someone with 400 credit score. Yeah. And that's why when we're talking through, right, when we're doing the pre-qual, at least where you at, what makes you think you can purchase in a nice way? What makes you think you can purchase the home that you're looking at? Because the homes we have over here, they're like 5, 6, 7 million. We have to ask questions like, what do you do for a living type thing, right? And it was like, oh, I'm just doing nothing. I'm just at home, right? I'm a YouTuber. And I'm like, well, what's your channel? I want to check. You have 7 followers? Oh, okay, got it. You're not going to buy this home. Right. So that's really good. Guys, when it comes to AI, at what point do you jump in? Like, where is it that you feel comfortable taking over?
So what I do is I allow the AI to work and do their pre-qualification process, which is in the neighborhood of 5 or 6 days worth of texts. And then if they don't respond, a certain percentage don't respond to that AI, it will tag them with AI no response. It's a specific tag. That will continue on in a nurturing plan that happens for the next couple of years. So those ones are sort of on their own. When they engage and they respond to the AI, as I said, I don't take over until the AI's done the conversation. But I do look through every single conversation responded to make sure that the automation we built out is doing the right things, and it doesn't or does require some intervention from me. For instance, the example before, whether it misread the intention, saying I want to sell when it thought it didn't want to sell. Well, if I didn't look at that one specifically and allow just the automation to continue on, it would automate and it would send some emails and some texts, and it's pretty personalized, and that's great. But if somebody says they have a property to sell in a market like Zia's in right now, that's just a frenzied seller's market, you pick up the phone. I also will use Mailbox Power, which is a company that I've integrated via Zapier to send them a little postcard saying, you know, get in touch about the market. I'll send them brownies with a little personal note with our branding on it. And you can build that into Chime so you can actually cause that to send within just clicking one button. It's pretty slick.
And you use Mailbox Power because in Canada, Chime's postcards don't work up there yet, correct?
Correct. And I was just messaging with somebody in Chime, and the provider they use for postcards does do Canadian shipping. I think they just haven't done that integration. But yeah, I would love to use Chime postcards. I would prefer it.
Yeah. Mailbox Power is really great, and it does work in Canada, which is really cool.
Yeah. Well,
but you guys have weird postal codes.
Yeah. Well, we just have, it's just you have to pay international shipping on everything, right? Like to send brownies, two brownies and a card that says, you know, we're looking forward to doing business with you, Zia and Kory, costs $22-23. It should cost $8, you know?
Right.
Right. Yeah. But for the instance where somebody has a home that's a multi-million-dollar home or a condo or something, and I think there's real interest there to sell, $20 is nothing for them to get that and for that to come from us, right? But I'd love to pay less. That would be nice.
Of course.
I'd love to have Chime postcards. I really would.
Wait, what's the name of that company, Kory?
Mailbox Power.
Now I have to check. You know what? We get so many people from Canada, and I never know where to send them now. Now I know. Mailbox Power. I'm gonna check that out. Thanks, bro. All right.
The reason I went with them, because I was using send out cards for the longest time, is Mailbox Power has an API integration built through Zapier with Chime. So instead of me having to like copy and paste and like input there, I go in and I create a group for the different card or brownies that I want to send. All I do is I click, add them to the group, and it happens in the background, which is amazing.
Dude, I love that. All right, your last question. It's for you, Zia, unless Brett's got some more there. Zia, what can you attribute your success to when it comes to these online leads? Because so many people flounder around with them and just seem to complain more than have success.
Yeah. You know, I'm very similar to Brett in that way, where I just want to get in the car. I want to get face to face with somebody. I want to, you know, just build a relationship and build value with them. And so for me, my main goal is to set an appointment, because I know a lot of times you want to pre-qualify and you want to do those things, and those are the main things. And I will get a lot of questions out of them when I'm texting or calling with them. But my main goal is to set an appointment so I can meet them. And then when I meet them, I can build that relationship. I mean, Kory's really, really good with nurturing over time. And I think that's where, for me personally, I think that's where you got so many tasks to do that you really need an ISA, because once you get into kind of higher deals, you know, like higher volume of deals, you know, you just get overrun and you start skipping and start missing steps. And that's what really helps me with Kory. But we also a big thing that I would say helps me when I go to meet clients, they already say, oh, hey, Zia, how's it going? Literally, this happened yesterday. I'm walking through a food court because that's where they wanted to meet me. And they look at me and they go, oh, hey, Zia, how's it going? And we R&D'd or took a page out of Brett's book with the buyer and seller videos. So Kory has set up a direct like integration that has videos going out every week. And so we can see when they look at it and we can see everything because it's directly, we've integrated it through BombBomb. So with that, we know what they looked at, when they looked at it, how many times they looked at it. And it's, yeah, it's, I could never put that together. I don't know how Kory does it, but it's a lot lower. Like when I meet them, it's a lot lower funnel because they've watched all the videos, they've done all the things. So.
All right. Last question here. Oh, Brett answered it. Awesome.
I was gonna say I actually have some quick one. I have one for Kory. Okay, so new person is about to start using the AI with Chime. Give me your top 3 pieces of advice for them when they start using the AI with Chime.
I know it sounds crazy, but don't call or text the lead yourself because it will actually mute the AI if you do that manually. That's important. And then if you're relying on the AI either leaving a tag of whatever interested versus no contact to trigger smart plans, they won't trigger because it's not working it anymore. So that's pretty critical. So the question was the top 3 things when somebody's newly using AI.
Yeah, brand new.
Lead flow. You need enough leads. If you're not getting 100 plus, leads a month, AI is probably not going to be as effective as you'd want. The online lead conversion is just going to be low in general compared to, like a referral or something like that from another agent or like a friend or an aunt or something like that. Like the top people in the world with really, really automated systems that are really powerful are only going to convert at a couple percent. So if you're expecting to get, 10 closings out of 100 leads, it's just not going to happen. In fact, it's not even going to happen for the next year or two, because the average time on from lead sign up to close, something I track with Sisu now, is like approaching 500 days for Google pay per click. So when there's low hanging fruit, there's some leads will sign up and you'll actually do business with them pretty quick, but you should be messaging to them as if they're 18 months out in the conversation, because they basically are. So having the right expectation of what's going to happen. So lead flow, having enough of a lead flow, making sure that you aren't interacting with it yourself during those 4 or 5 days because it will mute it. And setting up the triggers for the smart plans in the back end of the library. There's some really great ones there. Use the ones that they have if you don't have your own as a placeholder, and then maybe edit them yourself, but make it so that every trigger or every sort of tag that the AI adds, the big ones being not contacted and then all the others, trigger some sort of automation long-term that don't require you to physically contact them. Now you should when they're active on the site, but this should all be happening in the background to everybody all the time. And then buying signals, as in I check out the mortgage calculator, I request a tour. These things should require you to personally call out and try to engage with that person. So those 3 things.
I love it, guys. Well, thank you so much. Zia, you cover all of Canada, apparently. So we'll send you referrals for all of Canada.
I'm going to need Brett's airplane.
Kory, what areas do you cover specifically?
Well, we're business partners, so I'm not in production. So all of the lower mainland in and around Vancouver. So anywhere around Vancouver where the Olympics were in 2010, with about a couple hours outside of there, we can service really, really well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And of course, Brett's awesome. Reach out to him with any questions. He's a master of this as well. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Take care. See ya.
Thank you.
Yeah.